Hi everyone, it's me. So this has to be quick because I'm hoping my computer doesn't crap out on me with having, too many videos on it. I'm going to work on getting an external hard drive and then I'll fix that. Anyway, I have made one of the coolest, discoveries on my personal journey. It's not like I'm the first one to ever have discovered these things. It's just that as I'm discovering them, I'm sharing them with you. This started yesterday. Where I was, oh darn it, hold on, it's gonna work. I was making a post, the post that I made yesterday where I shared the new playlist that I made about the Claustrum's oil, or the sacred secretion, okay? But then there was also, okay, so in this playlist, it says this happens once a month, and now we just know that we have passed a supermoon. And I had become, I thought that there was actually maybe something wrong with me for the longest time because I would go through a period of 3 days. It would always be 3 days, and where I would have a really seriously difficult time eating, or I would only be able to eat certain things, and I would always be very hungry. I thought I had some kind of weird, spontaneous eating disorder. I mean, these things may have a factor, but in this playlist, you will see a video that's called It Only Happens Once a Month, okay? Something like this. I will put everything I'm talking about in the description and the pinned comment, okay? Like I usually do. So it's called that, and it explains to you how this is this time. It has to do with the moon because the moon has an effect on the waters. Think of the tides in the ocean, okay? The ebb and flow of that, and how the tides go in and out. Well, this is also what I'm assuming is taking our sacred secretion up and down the spine, right? So the Claustrum's oil, what it does for me, anyway, this is like a total ballpark guess because I'm just learning. I feel like a baby, which is kind of cool because you're like learning all this stuff all over again, but I like it. So, because everything's new and exciting, right? So, what I experienced was that yesterday I came across, because remember in my book, I didn't grab anything. Hold on. I'm just going to go and grab my books and some things that I'll need. One sec. Okay. So, as I was saying, on my Telegram, my last post there, I also posted on the community posts on the YouTube channel. But it says, so that's my playlist. And then it's Santos, Bonacci, there are 3 suns. It has to do with the Trinity, how everything's a Trinity. And the next thing explains that even more, how everything is a Trinity and there's an unexpected reason, okay? Now I'm going to tell you, I even brought, no, Marv, that's my tea. So I brought the painting so that if you bought my book, even if you didn't, I'm going to show you now anyway. So here, Marv, just a sec. There you go, baby. I know, you want to go on your cushion? Come up here. Okay, so I did not understand. I channeled this painting, that's EBE, and I call I call him EB3 Suns because there is 3 suns in the sky here. When I originally painted this, and he's on like a tropical beach, kind of reminds me like the beaches of the Ancestral Republic or whatever. You know how you it's like a nice tropical beautiful place, and like this I was trying to express that not only was it like a sunset, but it was the sky was a different color. But anyway, so there's these 3 suns, but it says right underneath EBE, EB, extraterrestrial biological entity, a painting I did, but I call him EB3 Suns. So 3 suns never made sense to me, though. Everything would be on fire, lol. I really didn't understand. I didn't. Just until yesterday. Then look, I've painted over it. I didn't understand. I always thought it was stupid. But this is old. Like, this has been sitting around, and you can see the orange bit, a little bit around his head, but I painted over him ages ago. But I took that picture, thank God, before. Oh, okay, Marv, lay on your cushion, bud. I'm sorry. I'll just move back. There you go, honey. You can lay on your cushion. That's your cushion. Yes. You want to see Marv? Here's Marv. Come here, Marv, honey. Here's Marv. Come here, baby. Oh, there's Marv. Hey, baby. I love you. Okay, here. You go on your cushion. There you go, honey. Sit on your cushion. So yeah, I did not understand. Like I heard about different things. I think I even talked about multiple suns, but what it is there's like a spiritual, because it's like mm, mm, soul. There's the sun has a soul, like SOL, soul, and then there's matter. Okay, there's spirit, matter, and consciousness, or something like that. Yesterday in Santo Bonacci's video, where he talks about this Astro Theology, I forget. I posted all these. So I'm not an expert. I'm doing my best, and yes, I could learn it better and come, but there's not enough time for that. I just seen 5:55 on the time. There's not enough time for that. So what's going to happen is that if you really want to know further, I'm going to link everything that I'm talking about below so that you can. So you can go read it and watch it all for yourself. Woo! There's Marv. So anyway, so yeah, you can see that I've painted over EV3 suns. But we still have this photograph. So, because this is like, I don't like the name or labels or any of that, like medium, okay? But I've always had like one foot in the spirit realm and one foot in this world, which is kind of like a bridge between worlds, which is a lot of us are. I don't know if you're aware that men can be shamans and mediums as well. So, you know, that's Claudio and Helena both, okay? It's not just a thing with women. And I think that's a great shame. You know, I mean, maybe I'm just thinking that not everybody thinks that or whatever, but I just wanted to clarify in case you didn't know. Okay, so we've gone over a lot so far, and I have all my books here, but I want to tell you that I've made the most exciting discovery, and I've heard about these things before, but I think that the more that you learn, and then you'll go back and you understand things differently. I forgot one book. Hold on. Okay, so now I can also mention, remember how the number 4 I said would be significant? Well, it is. Remember how Sailor Moon's legs in my birthday live? Someone's like, hey, Sailor Moon's legs are in a 4. My apartment number adds up to 4. Yeah, 4 was significant. I said that. Not only is 4 the 4th dimension of like the spirit realm, but get this. I just opened this little book. This is the New Testament in modern English. It's a cute little book that I've had for ages, but I didn't really know what to do with it, really. Okay, but hear me out. So I opened this book because I was looking for certain. It's chapter 4. Okay, it's of the Gospels, St. Mark 4. Okay, and it says, I opened it, truth is meant to be used. Okay, I wasn't looking for that one, but I opened to that one just now. And then so this is Luke 8:22. I think that's no. It's up here after 15. See? Truth is not a secret to be hidden, but a gift to be used. You see? Okay. So I really like this. It's in modern English, so I didn't even really whoops. Oh, there's my bookmark. But anyway, so yeah, I wanted to mention that because it says in my little book with Theology, Theosophy, I mean, and this all comes down to this lady here, and how I mentioned my being sort of like an in-between. Well, I've I've had encounters with these people, like not only different entities, but people, and they don't go around talking to me and telling me all this stuff, but sometimes, like I said this before, she was like, if you just read the first 5 pages, you'll understand what my book is. And I did. She begged me because she knows that I buy all these books and then I don't fucking read them. The spirit realm knows tons about you because they can see you, but you can't see them. So people like Helena Blavatsky, I screw up her name all the time, call her Blavatsky, but Blavatsky, Rudolf Steiner, Manly P. Hall, Maria Orsic, these people for sure, and Nikola Tesla even. and they all kind of pointed at different stuff for me to pay attention to. But it says right here that I when I found initiation, I found this symbol, this thing that I really liked, and it says there is no religion higher than truth, and I agree. But I also put behind it, like beside it, that I don't belong to any religion or secret society, you know, and but this stuff has to do with the secret societies, and these people I think have been highly misunderstood, and you know, I think that's been done on purpose so they can hide this. And there's a book by Helena Blavatsky which I've just ordered. It was only $8, $7.68 or something. It's called The Secret Doctrine, and in it it talks about the root races. I didn't know. I've heard about like the 5 root races and stuff on Universal Disclosure with Martin Kenny, and stuff like that. So I've heard about this in the past, okay? But I'm going to connect something. This is why my next book was going to be called Future Connections, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to have time to create it. I'm hoping to, but I mean, it's not like I'm the first one. You know, these people have been trying to get this out for ages, and back in the day, when they were trying to put this stuff out, there was like a witch hunt for people like this. They had to hide it. They had to hide their identities. They had to be in secret societies because people all thought they were demon worshippers or something. You know what I mean? And that's really sad because they weren't. And they were all initiates and really highly intellectual, conscious, and spiritual people. You know, consciously advanced anyway. And so when I heard about, this is what triggered it. Santos Bonacci was talking about in Aries, if you were, it like connects to Mars and Aries, so it connects with astrology. You can't just throw that because it does have a purpose. It actually indicates about reincarnation cycles. In fact, I know this is so much information at once. I apologize, but it's called, Manly P. Hall has a video, a lecture called Journey of the Human Soul Through the Astrological Cycle. So there's like the age of Leo, which I was born under the sign of Leo. So maybe the last time I was here, or my original incarnation, has to do with the last time the age of Leo was around. Do you see what I'm saying? So if you were born under the sign of Aries, like I'm looking at Hercules right now. Hercules represents courage and stuff like that, and Aries has a lot to do with courage, okay? So it'll help you figure out which, I know this is I'm just kind of actually intuitively best guessing, okay? But I'm thinking that because of the number 4, actually the number 4 has to do with, guess what? The Atlantean root race, okay? So I'm going to go over to this. So much information, I know. I'm sorry. But if you really want to seek, you will find. So this is a web page. I don't know how to say that first word, but I'm going to cite all my sources, okay? Introduction. According to the writings of Helena Blavatsky, there will be 7 root races associated with the Earth. That kind of makes sense with each of the chakras, right? With each root race being divided into 7 subraces. There's that number again, 777. Okay, that's important. Like I said, the 7 was inside of me ever since I was a little girl, but I thought it was a group of 7 superheroes. Oops. So the 7 root races are as noted. The first root race is astral and etheric. So where was that explanation? Hold on. So we go from, it says this in my book too, because I knew about that. I remembered being animals. I remembered being different types of things. I mean, it's really fucking hard to remember being a plant or whatever. But I did remember being different animals, and I described that. You can see it expressed in my drawing, where you will see the spirit garden, it's called. And there's a golden dragon in there, and there's a fox and a rabbit. Here it is. Right here. I can't see myself. Hold on. Yeah. So that's where I'm expressing that I remembered being animals. There are the bunny rabbits right there. There's this dragon, and there's a fox with a baby. See? I drew these things. So, yeah, there's the little rabbits, little bunny rabbits. And that's the little watering well. It's dripping of water a little bit. It's the one that you pump. Old style little spirit garden. But yeah, so I expressed that there. But then I added this about the mineral, plant, human, angel thing right here that we read from that Rumi. So it says, I died as a mineral and became a plant. That's what he's talking about. This is consciousness ascension or consciousness evolution. We go through these different cycles. So, and it says here that you can't go back into an animal. I knew that my dog, her next life, she was going to be human, just like all my cats too. And I said that before, that I really hope that they reincarnate again when the world is much better. Because I need to bring this back up. So mineral to plant, plant to animal, animal to human, human to these higher dimensional beings that are on the UFOs and shit. That's what they've become. So it says there is no transmigration backwards, so that a human cannot go backwards to an animal. The description below skips the first step, mineral, and starts with a step polarians. So that's what they talk about in the 7 root races. So the first root race was all astral and etheric, okay? So this was probably the Polarians, that they were more energetic than anything, okay? Where we're talking about mineral level or whatever. It may not be completely accurate, but let's just go with the best we've got, okay? I'm just learning this right now. So maybe it's a little bit irresponsible of me, but if somebody can do it better, then please do. So the description below skips the first step of mineral and starts with a step of the Polarians after mineral. It then goes directly to the second root race, which describes the human soul evolving within the rudimentary animals. This is what I said. I remembered being here before, but I was human, but I was more animal-like. There are actual beings like that. Humans evolving within rudimentary animals, algae, etc., to the first human-like form. The third root race describes a giant human cyclops race, which evolves and ends with the start of the first human form of man. So it goes, the first root race, astral etheric. The second root race is the Hyperboreans. The third root race is the Lemurians. So if you hear people being like, yeah, I'm Lemurian or Hyperborean, this is what they're talking about. They were probably reincarnated from that stage, and they've been reincarnating through the soul cycles. What is it called? Journey of the human soul through the astrological cycles. So these things keep repeating, right? Cycles repeat, recycled, our souls are recycled, and we keep going through these schools of consciousness where we learn and then go on to different things, okay? So where was I? Right, the cycle with the start modern form of man. The fourth root race starts with a race of two-eyed giant humans, beginning about 60 feet tall, decreasing to 20 to 30 feet tall. You see in those progression of giants, you know that fucking chart there where they have like 60 feet tall and then it goes smaller? This is what they're talking about with the giant skeletons. Beginning about 60 feet tall, then decreasing to 20 to 30 feet tall, which got progressively smaller as they reached modern human size. I knew it! We are currently in the fifth root race, where humans are normal modern size. The third eye, we started with one eye, then two, now we've got three. The third eye of the Cyclops has been absorbed over time into the brain. Some describe the third Cyclops eye to be the pineal gland of our brain, and what is known today as the third eye of modern humans. We started off with one, then we had two, now three. We were gigantic fucking people at one time. I was probably one of those too. I guess I do remember a lot of the incarnations, but in various degrees, but I couldn't sit down and tell you like who my mom was, who my sisters was, what I ate on this date on my birthday, none of that shit. But you can vaguely remember these things, mostly by some intuitive feelings, just weird shit that you remember. Like I remember stealing food a lot, And that's because I was an animal. And we did that. I stole food from humans, but then eventually we kind of learned to coexist, you know? They realized that I was a little bit of an advanced type of animal and try to, you know, like spirit animals worship you, bring offerings to the forest and shit like that. So we had different stuff going over time. So we currently live in the fifth root race where humans are normal modern size. Oh right, I read that. Third eye of modern humans. However, modern science believes it is more likely the visual association cortex and the parietal cortex and the prefrontal cortex, all higher cognitive processing centers of the brain, are the absorbed third eye. I disagree. It probably is our pineal gland. Okay? So, root races of root races of Theosophy. The bugger. Polarians. Oh my goodness. At least it came out. Polarians, the first root race, were primarily spiritual, etheric, and astral. They did not leave physical remains. That's where the dragons and stuff come from. And I knew there's a reason why you didn't find their bodies and shit. These beings could become whatever they wanted. They were in the astral. Probably the shapeshifters, maybe even the shapeshifting dragon that I remember being. The Hyperboreans, the second Hyperborean root race, a continuation of the first, was semi-astral. That makes sense, but grew denser. Okay, when I seen the being on January 15th in my room, I described it, if this was our regular space, I could feel this, another layer on top. It wasn't uncomfortable or bad. I actually felt lighter. As the space around me felt thicker and more dense, like you could move it, okay? Like two spaces had come together into one. I describe this when I see this being, okay? When I woke up from that astral lucid dream, right? But grew denser and more opaque with each passing age. Okay, let's read this again. The Hyperboreans. The second Hyperborean root race, a continuation of the first, almost like evolved. Like now they've lived this cycle in the astral. Now they've come into semi-astral, and they have hair, skin, bones. Okay, they've come into a physical body. Wait, no. More of a gelatinous. I'm absorbing this for the first time too, because let me tell you something. I was online the other day. There's straight up an anime called. You can go look it up. I'm gonna put it down there below so you can see it. It's straight up called. And afterwards I said, "Oh, must be a fucking true story." And you know what? It is, because there's an anime called "That Time I Was Reincarnated as a Slime." Okay, it is a fucking true story. Mm-hmm. Towards its end, let me read it to you. All right, let me say, Hyperborean root race was semi-astral, but grew denser and more opaque with each passing age. Towards its end, it became more gelatinous and filamentoid in structure, almost like an actual cell. Like the mitochondria? That's what I just saw. And developed the rudimentary beginnings of bones and organs, hair, and skin. Although still more or less void in form, it began to show the first outlines of the later human form. However, towards its end, its bodies passed through many curious part animal forms. Meaning, like, the experimentations with being, like, part animal, part this and that. We hear about this stuff. Lemurians, the third. The Lemurians were the first with physical bodies. They were described as a race of three-eyed giants. Fee, fi, fo, fum. And, and inhabited a lot. Maybe that's racist. We shouldn't say that anymore. We should be nice to the giants too. The three-eyed giants and inhabited a lost continent of Lemuria, which is where the Indian and Pacific Oceans now are. That's right. Modern Theosophists sometimes identified Lemuria with the actual ancient supercontinent of, oh yeah, Gondwana land, or Gondwana. Others may refer to it as Mu. I've heard this stuff similar before. The Atlantean root race, number 4. That's where I come from. The Atlantean root race includes the following subraces. So there's 7 under these ones. Because now we've already got human bodies, so now we're going to spread out into these different subraces of our original root race. So I can't even say half of these words. Ramahals, listen. Listen, I can't. Toltecs, I got that one. First, Turanians, original Semites. 6, Acadians, that made me think of like Acadian French on the east coast of Canada. And then number 7 is the Mongolians. Now, when I heard about the Mongolians, you know what that made me think of? Whether it's real or not, I don't care. But do you remember where, this is what I just thought of, okay? There's a video where they claim that they found like a frozen looking extraterrestrial woman. And she kind of looks Asian, okay? Now, I've said this before. I had this idea where these different civilizations had gone through their cycles and then evolved, and then those are these people that are out there on the UFOs, okay? It's not aliens, these are breakaway civilizations from our past civilizations. Now, this is very complicated, but let's just continue, because I know that my video is probably already getting way too long. Oh, crap. Okay, so we have the Atlanteans and we have the Arians, okay? So the subraces of the Arian 5th or present root race include the following. Hindus, Sumerians, Egyptians, Greeks and Romans, Europeans, Nova men, or indigo children and star children. Okay? So that's that group. So there's all these star seeds that are wondering, like, you know, or they're connected to this, and it has to do with different planets, because in that video with Santos Bonacci, I saw that giant body. That's that giant celestial body that I was talking about. It's on my my little what's that whiteboard thing. I've never heard of what Nova men are, but there's supermen. Hold on. The Arians. Right? It just says, the Chinese, I now speak of the inland, the true Chinaman, not of the hybrid mixture between the 4th and the 5th races now occupying the throne. The Aborigines who helped in their unallied nationality wholly to the highest and last branch of the 4th race reached their highest civilization when the 5th had hardly appeared in Asia. Yeah, so that's what I was saying. There's so much information here, but when I was scrolling down, it stopped right there. And that's what it reminds me of. when I said in that astral dream, I was like, ah, there's my Chinese roommate. I pointed at this girl, and I knew that she was Chinese from China. She was my Chinese roommate. There was nothing else about it. That's what I said. And I knew that just by looking at her. I knew that I knew her, but I didn't know her name. I knew she was my roommate that we hadn't really met before. Like almost like when you go into college and they're like, oh yeah, your roommate's Chinese, she's from China. Oh, okay. And that was her in my dream. Okay. So, and that's what it says, these semi-astral. Okay, so these people, like I said, with lioness lady and stuff, they're able to change into animals and back into, maybe they're changing into the incarnations that they were at one time. You know, maybe lioness lady was a lioness at one time, and that's why, you know, I mean, I usually change into the dragon, but that's my go-to thing. But mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So there's a lot of stuff here. Like there's the stuff, the truth about Mars, the Elysium, voice of Venus, voice of Eros, voice of Hermes. Like I don't want to get all caught up in what other people have done, but clearly, I mean, this information has been gone over, and people are taking it, you know, aliens and this and that, making creations out of it. But I found its root source, and I mean, yes, these people, they had to hide, though. I mean, let's not get like these people like Annie Besant and Charles Webster, Leadbeater and stuff like this, Manly P. Hall, Rudolf Steiner. You know, I mean, he died in 1925. He was born in 1861. So that was a way different time, you know, where people were very afraid of anything that wasn't, you know, what the church said, or, you know, anything supernatural and things was looked down upon, and like a witch hunt here and there and burned at the stake and stuff like that. It was like that back then. So, the first root race, the Polarians, were primarily spiritual. They did not leave any physical remains behind. They were ethereal. And they were consequently composed of etheric energy matter. Their reproduction was accomplished by them dividing, similar to that of amobas, like cell division. Oh, it would be before then. I can't find anything in my own book. I'm skipping over it. Okay, where are you? Ridiculous. Well, where is it? Where's the baby in the fucking thing? So disorganized. Ah, there you are. Like cell division. I mean, everyone can pretty much know. Like that. So they were literally like the primordial goop, dividing similar to that of amobas. Moreover, at the time of the first root race, the earth was still cooling. And it said that the first mountain to rise out of the chaotic primordial ocean was Mount Meru. So then it takes me back to the Vedas, where you have those rings, and you have Mount Meru, that golden pillar that rises out of the first with the first root race. The second root race, the Hyperboreans. The second root race lived in Hyperborea, which includes what is now northern Canada, Greenland, Iceland, Scandinavia, northern Asia, and Kamchatka. I don't know what that is. And the second root race was colored golden yellow, and the climate was tropical in consequence of the Earth not having yet developed an axial tilt. The esoteric name of the second root race's continent is Plaksha, and they called themselves the Kimpershas. This root race reproduced by budding, like plants. So, from mineral to plant, plant to animal, animal to human. So they're budding like plants, and today there are no descendants. The third root race, Lemurian. I didn't get to eat yet today, sorry. The third root race was the first race with physical bodies, and they were described as a black race of three-eyed giants who inhabited the lost continent of Lemuria. It is believed that this continent existed where the Indian and Pacific Oceans now are. Modern theosophists identify Lemuria with the actual ancient supercontinent of Gondwana. The esoteric name of Lemuria is Shalmali, and according to theosophists, it specifically existed in a large part of what is now the Indian Ocean, and included Australia and extended into the South Pacific Ocean. The last remnants are the Australian continent and the islands of New Guinea and Madagascar. It is believed that Lemuria sank gradually and was eventually destroyed by increasing numbers of violently erupting volcanoes. Four. With me. According to Theosophy teachings, the fourth root race was called the Atlantean race. It appeared approximately 4,500,000 years ago in Africa. I told you I remember Africa. It originated from the fourth subrace of the Lemurian root race. The Lemurians had colonized a part of Africa that is now inhabited by the Ashanti. Theosophists believed that the Atlantean root race was physically procreated by the Changshushamaну. After the early Atlanteans developed in Africa, they migrated and colonized the continent of Atlantis. The esoteric name of Atlantis is Kusha, and the Atlantean root race had Mongolian features. There are 7 subraces of the Atlantean root race. So if anybody missed that, I remember specifically remembering somebody saying, well, why isn't there any black aliens? Well, there are. They're not aliens, but I just described it right there. So, and we were all 3 and 2 and 1-eyed giants at one time, so that's not a diss. So it all cycles through evolution. Okay, subraces of the Atlantean root race. We read those already, because I can hardly say them. Oh, Cro-Magnons. That's what it says. A different. Okay, so first is the Romahal. Terrible at this. Okay, now we're about the same place. Okay. The Talavati, the Cro-Magnons, then the Toltec, a theosophical term which we use for Native Americans. The Turanian, wait. Yeah, the Turanians, then the original Semites, that's the Phoenicians. Like the word, I forget how to say this all the time. It's like Phoenix, the Phoenicians. And then the Akkadians, and then the Mongolian, who migrated and colonized East Asia. According to traditional Theosophy, the fourth root race, the Atlanteans, began with, I remember being of dark complexion too, with golden brown skin. And because some Atlanteans migrated to Americas and Asias, they gradually evolved into Native Americans, brown Malaysians, and yellow Mongolian races, as well as some groups of what in the late 19th and early 20th centuries were referred to as the olive-skinned Mediterranean race. Blavatsky asserted that humanity was presently in the fifth or Arian root race, which Theosophists believed to have emerged from the previous fourth root race, the Atlanteans, like the Atlantean Age. Thus, the origins of the fifth root race are traced back to about 100,000 years ago in Atlantis. When Blavatsky stated the Aryan root race was 1,000,000 years old, she meant that the souls of the people that later physically incarnated as the first Aryans about 100,000 years ago began their incarnation cycles in the bodies of Atlanteans over 1,000,000 years ago. I knew I was old as heck. Sometimes I do feel like 1,000,000 years old. Maybe that's why we feel so old. Because we are. Theosophists believe that the Aryan root race was physically procreated by the Baptumanu, one of the masters of ancient wisdom. The Aryan root race is white because it originates from a specific tribe of the fourth original Semite subrace of the Atlanteans, which was white-skinned and lived in the mountains of northeastern Atlantis. The closest relatives to this tribe today are the Kabyle, K-A-B-Y-L-E. Thus, the Aryan root race overlapped the Atlantean root race, and the genesis of the fifth root race occurred towards the end of the time when the fourth root race dwelt in Atlantis. The original Aryan root race was comprised of 9,000 who migrated from Atlantis in 79,797,000 BC. A small group of these migrants split from the main body and went south to the shore of an inland sea, what was then a verdant and lush Sahara, where they found the city of the sun. Sounds like Africa. The city came to be ruled about 70,000 BC by an incarnation of the being who later became known as the Ascended Master Saint Germain. The main body of these Aryan migrants continued onwards to an inland called the White Island in the middle of what was then an inland sea, what is now the Gobi Desert, where they established the city of the bridge. The city of the bridge was built directly below the etheric city called Shambhala, where Theosophists believe the governing deity of Earth, Sanat Kumara, dwells. Consequently, the evolution and development of the Aryan root race has been divinely guided by the being Theosophists identify as the Lord of the world. Now, this information again has been interpreted. Now, everybody freaks out. Well, not everybody, but some people freak out. So there's this Japanese religion, I guess you would say. A lot of people call it a cult. Okay, whatever. It's called Happy Science, I believe. But this fella made movies where he relays this type of truth in his movies. I think it's called The Laws of the Sun. There's the laws of eternity, and it really explains about soul school and stuff, so I will post them in the Telegram channel. But that's where it comes from. What we're talking about right now is exactly the type of stuff that he talks about in his film. So he's trying to relay this type of truth in like an anime movie format, and I actually liked them. They were good films. You can watch them in English. So, okay, Lord of the World, yeah, like Sanat Kumara, yeah, he talks about this stuff, but it's all interpreted into this thing. I mean, yes, he used it to become like kind of like a god in a way, like worshipped. Is it? No, it's absolutely not right. That's not something that I would do with it, but it seems like more for personal gain than anything. But so Theosophists believe that a large percentage of the people who live in the time of the period of the fifth root race are part of the fifth root race. However, Blavatsky declared that some Semitic peoples have become degenerate in spirituality. She further asserted that some groups descended from the Lemurians are semi-animal creatures, and these include the Tasmanians, a portion of the Australians, and a mountain tribe in China. Reminds me of the monkey tribe. If you don't know about the Monkey King, that's an excellent story I loved. Still love. Forgot. I just seen a video game that's out new of the Monkey King, but it's not called the Monkey King, it's his actual name. What's his name? I just need it. I saw it yesterday. And it starts with a K. Wukong. Sun Wukong. It's a W. Okay, I knew there was a K in there somewhere. Wukong. Also known as the Monkey King. Wukong. Yeah, I love the Monkey King. There's really good movies. I will post those as well because they helped me remember my previous incarnations. There are also a considerable numbers of the mixed Lemuro-Atlantean peoples produced by various crossings with such semi-human stocks. The wild men of Borneo, the Vedas of Ceylon. Okay, whatever that is, I can't even say half of those words. Bushmen. Again, you can read all this for yourself. All these groups mentioned by Blavatsky are part of what was in the late 19th century and most of the 20th century called the astroloid race. Anyway, it goes into some, maybe I just didn't need to go that far. Because it's kind of confusing me. Okay, this might make a little more sense. The subraces of the Aryan fifth root race include the first subrace, the Hindu, which migrated from the city of the Bridge on the White Island in the middle of the Gobi Inland Sea to India in 60,000 BC. Second subrace, the Arabian. Sorry if the words are offensive. I didn't write them. I'm just reading it, and I'm trying to correct them if I can to not, I know we can hardly make it without offending anybody these days, but I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm really not meaning to. And if it does, I apologize, okay, on behalf of the author or whatever. The Arabian, which migrated from the city of the Bridge to Arabia in 40,000 BC. The third subrace, the Persians, who migrated from the city of the Bridge to Persia in 30,000 BC. The fourth subrace, the Celts, which migrated from the city of the Bridge to Western Europe, beginning in 20,000 BC. The Mycenaean Greeks are regarded as an offshoot of the Celtic subrace that colonized Southeast Europe. The fifth subrace, the Teutonic, which also migrated from the city of the Bridge to what is now Germany, beginning in 20,000 BC, the Slavs are regarded as an offshoot of the Teutonic subrace that colonized Russia and surrounding areas. I didn't know this went on for so long. I'm almost done. Okay. Russia and surrounding. The sixth subrace, according to Blavatsky, the sixth subrace of the Aryan fifth root race will begin to evolve in the area of the United States in the early 21st century. This subrace of the Aryan root race will be called the Australo-American subrace and is believed by Theosophists to be arising from the Teutonic subrace of the Arian root race in Australia. In the western United States, many individuals of the new subrace will be born in California. I saw in my head the part of the movie Defending Your Life when they're first on the bus and she goes, now, if we did our jobs right, you should be all from the northern half of the United States or whatever. In the beginning of the movie when they're on the bus, when he first goes into this afterlife, she says that they must be able to subdivide these souls into different categories and so that they're easier to organize and keep track of and during their incarnation cycles and all this stuff. And this is what I must have been seeing when I went to that place where it would be sometimes like a cruise ship or a hotel, but it reminded me of the heaven in Supernatural where there's all those doorways and there's a shit ton of doors and people would be going back and forth, but I went straight through them and there was two beings hanging on to me, pushed, like, not, it wasn't aggressive or anything, but all these people were going back and forth this way, left and right, but I was going straight through them. So as they were passing by me, we were going through, and there was two beings hanging on to me in my spirit body. And that's how I recognized about soul school and stuff like that, because a hotel or a cruise ship is something that you go for a little while, maybe even just a vacation overnight, but then you don't stay there, you don't live there, you leave after. Yeah. Mm. Mm. Many individuals of the new subrace will be born in California. and its surrounding nearby areas, i.e., the Australo-American subrace is presently in the process of arising from the Anglo-American, Anglo-Canadian, Anglo-Australian, and presumably also the Anglo-New Zealander ethnic groups. The sixth, or Australo-American subrace, will possess certain psychic powers. For this, the pituitary body will be developed, thus giving an additional sense, that of cognizing astral emotions in the ordinary waking consciousness. We may say that in general the sixth subrace will bring in wisdom and intuition, blending all that is best in the intelligence of the fifth subrace and the emotion of the fourth. See, the sixth and seventh these races haven't the seventh subrace, these will be the survivors of the new great cataclysm, whatever this reset, solar flash, event, culling, whatever that shit is, the survivors of that will soon destroy the Arian root race. Thus, the seventh subrace has yet to come into existence. They still do not exist, but they will. It is believed by Theosophists that the root races evolve from the subraces of the same number. Thus, the sixth root race will evolve from the sixth subrace of the fifth, or Arian root race, just as the fifth or Arian race evolved from the fifth subrace of the Semitics, or the fourth, or the Atlanteans. See, it's really complicated. Hold on. It kind of reminds me of the dimensions, like how the fourth dimension can look and see us, but we can't see them. But then in the fifth dimension can look down at the fourth, but the fourth can't see them. You see what I'm saying? Kind of like this. How so we're in the third and we can see the second and first dimensions, I suppose. Yes? It's kind of like, it reminds me of that. That's what I just saw. And I mean, do you think that, and please don't get mad at me because this is what I saw when I was reading this. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings or cause any shit or whatever, but when I was reading that last part where it says that in general the sixth subrace will bring in wisdom and intuition, blending all that is best in the intelligence of the fifth race and the emotion of the fourth. Well, I saw like the autism, and the different degrees of that. What if it's an evolution? I actually have a story about that. Because, okay, so really quickly, I was at a birthday party of a friend, and it's her friend's son. And he was very autistic. He wouldn't even look his mom in the eyes. He'd look away. Look away. He looked me in the eyes. And so anyway, just really quickly, when I was sitting there interacting with him, now he's nonverbal, I started thinking of my favorite dinosaur. I didn't say anything. I was thinking about it. He got really excited, ran into the house, and grabbed those meat-eating dinosaurs that I like. Because he didn't have them there. It's like he fucking knew. Now, believe me or not, but I felt this intuitively. they pick up emotions and feelings and stuff. So maybe that's why it's very difficult for him to look into the eyes. Now, people, I know some people aren't going to like this. They're going to get mad at me, but that's the truth. That's what I saw. This is what I experienced once in my life. And I mean, it's not like I've never experienced that again, because of course I have. So maybe that's why it's so difficult, and it's a sensory thing, right? Because they have these different types of senses. So there's that. That's what I saw. Okay. Mm, okay. So it does, the sixth root race will take place in the 28th century, for the intensive selective, eugenic breeding of the sixth root race. Yeah. Okay, so that's much farther in the future anyway. But I hope that by reading all of this, I know it was a lot, and I'm really sorry that I had to eat. I'm gonna go and make food because I'm hungry and I want rice and these chicken balls and some vegetables. I'm hungry. But there's a lot of information out here, and I wish that people hadn't told me that they were aliens and all this and that. It even has on this page Tartaria, Old World Order Reset, the nature of the ether ships, and I have a book called Ether Tech on my Telegram channel that you can download and read for yourself. It talks about the spaceships. Santos Bonacci is fantastic. Mm, mm, Giants in America, Spirit Attachments, The Great Hoax Part 2, Signs in the Sky. There's a whole bunch of really, really cool stuff. Project Serpo. Um, The Noble Eightfold Path. Nikola Tesla, Master of Imagination. 20 trillion light years through space. Why there is no missing link. Reincarnation, a study in human evolution. mRNA nanotechnology. Well, this isn't an old website at all, is it? Like just this past August 11th? I don't think this is an old, I don't know how to tell when the website was made. Oh, 2024, it's new. Owned by the Unarius Educational Foundation. I don't know what that is. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this, because they're definitely like the Elysium, Antarctica, alien secrets beneath the ice, Death in the Afterlife Part 1 and 2. There's lots of stuff on here. I mean, I haven't read it all, but the nature of the Aether ships, Old World. Yeah, there's some really good stuff on this website that I found. So I will link it below. And you can read it all for yourself. And I'll try to give the best I can. Like, if I figure out which age Leo and all that, I'm pretty sure it's, probably what I was saying. It could have something to do with one of my incarnations. I don't know, which one. But yeah, so I'm tired now. And I hope that this helps. So it was Martin Kelly's Universal Disclosure, that helped me figure this out. But again, he puts dates in there. I think that turns people off, like of 2012 or whatever, like that, like these different thinnings of the veil. But it talks about that in these things. So, Journey of the Human Soul Through the Astrological Cycles by Manly P. Hall. And then the Seven Root Races, which is by Theosophists and Helena Blavatsky. And yeah, this is a really good little website. I'm going to keep looking at it. There's like the Elysium. Like I said, let's just click it, because I know that for sure is on Claudio's map. The Elysium, which means words of light in the first work, a beautiful inspirational collection of poetic gems. Oh, you know what? I am not a fan of poetry. Any man that's like, can I read you this fucking poetry I wrote? I'm like, nah, please don't. Oh, I've just never been a girl about poetry, so. But yeah, so descriptive parables given in the language strongly flavored with Aramaic, just as such parables have been given by the prophets of old. It's by Ernest L. Norman. The Elysium, the Pathway, which reminds me of the Gateway. Yeah, it's true. Like I said, there are many paths that lead you to the same place. The Pathway. Fucking poetry. So there is the time of coming and going, and the pathways of men are more than the sands of the sea. And each man goeth and cometh upon his own pathway, findeth not the joy of such coming and going, nor can he stayeth his feet one fleet moment, for always doth he looketh back with regret, or casteth his eye with longing to the future, depression, anxiety. Thus it is so with all men and of all mankind that seeketh not the things of another man's pathway. That's why I said everyone's journey is different. That we may all reach the aliens and the spaceships at different times and stuff. Neither shalt thou lookest back with regret on thine own pathway. Oops. Oh, the things of another man's pathway, nor of his joys or sorrows thereon. Neither shalt thou looketh back with regret on thine own pathway, lest thy feet become heavy and carry ye not the cup of life. So, yeah, and there's also a PDF book they have here, which is good. Good. Wow, nice little website. I like it. I don't know who made it, but I like it. Well, so they're not aliens. They're breakaway civilizations, people that have gone before us and moved out to these other rings. So I'll source everything below. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that I can get some help in some way. I could probably figure it out, because it has to do with like Aries, Mars, and then if you look at, different civilizations, like I think the ancient Egyptians were at the time of Leo, right? Because that's why they had the lion sphinx before it was, turned into the human head statue. It used to be a lion, and that's because they were in the time of Leo. Pretty sure. So I think that's how it's working. So that means, it's very likely that you could be continuing your soul cycles or your reincarnation cycles. Maybe that's how they keep everybody organized, by sending them in at certain times, and that's why there's so many people here who remember being from Atlantis, because we are part of the Atlantean root race, but we're the Aryans, the next kind of offshoot of that, because that was in the age before. So, you know, That's why a lot of people identify with being from Atlantis or whatever. You'll hear people say, I think I'm from Lemuria or Hyperborea. Well, technically we all were. We cycled through these civilizations, so you're probably remembering your earlier incarnations as you're in this incarnation now. And we cycle through all these different worlds too, remember? Like that time that they reincarnated as a slime. I gotta remember to write all this stuff down to put it so you can see. I might even watch that anime just to see what it's like. So yes. I was so excited I couldn't wait to tell you. So it might be not as great as I hoped, but it is authentically and genuinely me. And I hope that you enjoy it. I hope that this helps. Oh yeah, the Monkey King. I gotta leave all this stuff open so that I can put. Oh, I hope you enjoy the Monkey King. There's a new video game that looks absolutely fabulous. Where I thought it was actually a movie, but it's a game. And I clicked on it, and you see Wukong in this field. That's the Monkey King, and you see all these gigantic people, like really, really tall. There's probably the other gods. Oh my goodness, it's such a great story, and you get to see dragons and all kinds of astral, spiritual stuff, and the world used to be like that. Like animal people. That's why there's like cat people and, all that kind of stuff too. So it's really, really freaking cool, and it's beautifully well done. Makeup, hair, and, just, oh, it's gorgeous. They have some really, really, really beautiful fantasy movies. What's that other one? Ice Fantasy or something? Oh, that was a cool show too. I think that's also Chinese. Anyway. mm. I remember people that had white hair and red eyes. But it wasn't like old lady white, forgive me, because I've got old lady white grays, but they were just naturally white-haired people, and they lived on an island. So, I started writing a story in grade 9 called Dragon's Prayer, which I talked about them on this island. And they were like upgraded people. So they were psychic and they were healers and they were advanced, but they had to stay away from others because a lot of people were afraid of them because they had straight up red eyes. So, like ruby red with these, this white, naturally white hair. So I wrote a book actually. I still remember all of it, but maybe I'll rewrite it one day. I have some artwork that was done for that. We were going to turn it into a graphic novel. Me and my friend Caroline. Hmm. Take care. See you next time. Be well. This is over an hour. It's going to bust my computer. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope I did a good enough job.